Jesse Lingard could be available this January transfer window for approximately £15 million. It comes amid reports that the midfielder is set to reject a new contract offer from Manchester United from his current deal, which is set to expire at the end of the season. The England international was tipped to leave Manchester United in the summer, with the likes of our beautiful club West Ham, Leicester, Newcastle, Aston Villa sniffing around the England international. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer blocked any chance of any departure, insisted he was going to play a big part of his plans this season, but that has so far failed to materialise. Lingard has just made 3 appearances in the Premier League, all from the bench, yet he has scored in 2 of the cameos, one, of course, against our beloved West Ham, and failed to come on against Aston Villa and Everton. It has led to the 28-year-old deciding that his future lies elsewhere, and some reports are saying that he's ready to reject the contract offer from Manchester United. Clubs apparently, according to reports, to the level of Barcelona, AC Milan, potentially are preparing bids for Jesse Lingard in January, but we'll have to wait and see what transpires from those ones. But after failing to impress Solskjaer last season, of course, what we know is Lingard left on loan for West Ham and immediately blew everyone away with his brilliant form. 16 appearances in the Premier League, 9 goals, 4 assists, and earning a massive recall to the England side. So a sale to East London was widely touted, only for the transfer to fall through. However, it looks like Manchester United are now in a position where they could lose the Englishman for nothing and are prepared to sell him in January to avoid that situation. That is a massive decrease from the £30 million reportedly that they demanded in the summer after lots of clubs called Manchester United's bluff. Let's go and see what Jesse Lingard had to say about playing first-team football. If I keep performing well and I keep doing well, you never know what might happen. So I keep confident in myself. And when I get time on the pitch, I've got to carry on doing what I am doing. He then goes on to say, you want to start games. When I'm a sub, I'm always ready to play. I'm always ready to be needed when I'm called up. It's one of those things I'm going through at the moment, but I think on recent performances, hopefully we'll see a change in the next few weeks. So, I mean, you could say during pre-season, Solskjaer declared that Lingard would have a big part to play in the 21-22 current football season, but the embarrassment of riches when it comes to attack and talent that they have, minutes have been hard to come by for Jesse Lingard. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen the Jesse Lingard interview that he did with the Players Tribune. And it was a fantastic interview, if I'm being brutally honest. He talks about where he was at to where he is now. And there's a couple of parts I want to talk about. In particular, he massively bigs up his brother Lou, who plays a pivotal role in turning Jesse Lingard's career around, advising him on the right things, keeping his mental health on the straight and narrow when he was really, really struggling with life. And I want to just address a couple of points that came up over the interview that he took place, and he goes in depth and talks about West Ham, but in particular when he came to West Ham on loan, his brother touted it and said, listen, Jesse, you need to go away and you need to go and play on loan with a club, because this is going to be the difference between you potentially, being better, believing in yourself in comparison to not believing in yourself. So he then goes on and talks about Mark Noble in particular, and I love this statement here. He says, then there's Mark Noble. Let me tell you about Nobes. He's got banter, or at least he thinks he does. He had it in from me from the time the gaffer called me Golden Boy in training. We were doing boxes and the ball went out. I touched it last, but David Moyes was like, no, Jesse, don't have to go in the middle. He's a Golden Boy. After that, Nobes was after me. Seriously, though, he took me under his wing and explained to me what West Ham is all about. I remember one of my first away games. I was sitting in the back of his car on the way to the airport. It was just me, him, and Aaron Creswell. Immediately, I was on my phone, just automatic as you do, but he wasn't having any of it. He turned to me saying, "Whoa, no phones allowed in here. We talk." We talk. I was like, "Okay, fine." He then goes on to say, "This here, on the plane, I would normally whack the headphones on and listen to music, but nobs when the rest of the guys wouldn't stand for it. It was like that everywhere at West Ham. Proper conversations about everything. No phones, no social media, no just and he's referencing to what he said earlier on in the chat. Whenever he was taught, previous to his leaving Manchester United, when people were asking him questions, it was half-arsed answers that he was giving back. And he says if we were having dinner in the hotel, we'd stay down there for ages just talking. It helped us bond, and as a team and personally, it helped me a lot. And that is stuff I'm not going to lie to you. I love to hear things like that, and that just confirms the bond that us West Ham fans see at Manchester United, at West Ham United. Let alone the fact that when we bring these players in. But I can't help but think, I wonder if there's something in this, because he has publicly now stated he needs game time. He explains in this interview how devastated he was to not be called up to the Euro 2020 squad. And as a fan, as a West Ham fan, and you know what, as any form of neutral footballing fan out there, I think you would have looked in from outside at Jesse Lingard's performances in the 16 games in this latter part of last season and thought, you're absolutely crazy not taking him. I genuinely believe this from the bottom of my heart, that Jesse Lingard was probably the difference of potentially, not guaranteeing, why England maybe could have won the tournament. Big, bold statement, but I think it really is. I look at Jesse Lingard, right, and I think about a player that was born and bred in Manchester. He loves Manchester United. He'd never ever wanted to leave his boyhood club. Absolutely not. However, life and his mental health got him down. He was feeling depressed. He wasn't really enjoying himself. We knew what the player used to be able to do, and someone needed to find that, dig deep and find that old player. He was never going to get that kind of arm around him at Manchester United, even though some of the players, and he talks about it in his interview, he talks about Bruno Fernandes in particular. He constantly messaged them. He constantly said these things. Jesse, you are the player. You can be the player. You need to find this player. And it was his brother that finally said, you need to go out on loan. And West Ham and David Moyes is the right fit, the right mould for a player like Jesse Lingard to put their arm around him and go, do you know what? We are going to find the best in you. And that's what we did. And I do think that it was harsh not taking him to Euro 2020s. And I think people have said, well, why is Jesse Lingard in the squads now, especially if he's not playing game time? But I think there's an element of Gareth Southgate's looking back at that and regrets that decision, so is favouring bringing Lingard into the squad, even though he's not getting a huge amount of game time. But what I will say is, from the games that he has played for Manchester United, what an impact he's made coming off the bench already. And it does surprise me. It does surprise me because I feel like at Manchester United in particular, you've got a whole host of players that have got egos. And I'm not saying they're like over the top egos that are negative in a way, but you've got top quality international players, worldwide, world renowned players. And then you've got Jesse Lingard in that mix, who the Manchester United fans, most of them I speak to, are saying, listen, we didn't understand why he stayed in the summer and left. But he opted to do that because he went back to his boyhood club that he had a contract with to see if he would be willing to, he believed in himself so much to see if he'd go back and have some game time. We do so many videos on this channel and we talk about Jesse Lingard. We haven't spoke about him for a while. But for me, and I'm going to bring a guest on in a second, bringing someone like Jesse Lingard back to our club, he's not dipped in any form, because when we were watching West Ham versus Manchester United in the Premier League, in my opinion, the minute they brought Jesse Lingard on, that was the difference, not just because of the goal, but that was the difference of why Manchester United progressed and went forward a lot better. Immediately he made an impact. He done what he did for Manchester United in however many minutes he had against West Ham is what he did during the games for West Ham. He progressed the team forward. His thinking and his vision does that. I don't want to get carried away, but if he is going to be available for £15 million, 28 years old, could be free in 6 months' time, would I pay that money for him? I absolutely would, but I know there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't. But do we run the risk of going the full term and losing a player of Jesse Lingard's quality? Yes, he's not been with us. People may hold that against them, but hey ho, we'll see what people have to say. Get it in the comments and we'll talk about it in a minute. And I want to also say what Jesse Lingard finishes off his interview. He says, when I came back to United, I felt like a different person. I'm more mature, more confident, and I'm taking more responsibility, to be fair. I've got to credit Moyes and the West Ham lads for that. Cheers for everything, boys. I don't know if you sign that off. Is Jesse Lingard signing it off by going, thank you, finally putting the final nail in the coffin to say I'm not coming back to the club? Or is he doing this interview to say, listen, I need first team football. West Ham are in Europe. And I do think West Ham need a Jesse Lingard. I'm not going to lie to you. I was gutted we didn't bring him in. Absolutely borderline devastated that we didn't bring him in because he made such an impact at our club, and I think he potentially could do that again in January. Please keep your comments coming in. We will go through them as much as we possibly can, but I'm going to bring on a guest, someone very regularly, who's part of the channel, and it's Alf. Alf, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no
to
worries,
give you
mate.
My expert opinion on Mr. Lingard.
Right, we'll go for it.
Let me tell you.
So you've listened to what I've said. I've kind of digressed a little bit of his interview that he did with this well-known kind of media company. And it's a really, really interesting interview. There's a lot more to it than what I said. A lot more, Alf. Genuinely mean that. There really is. And it's really nice to listen to. But it's also a bit sad to hear where he was at and where he but it's good to hear how he got out of that, and he massively thanks West Ham. But what's your thoughts, mate? £15 million, 6 months on his contract, 28, didn't sign for the club in the summer. Where are you at?
Yeah, look, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said when he joined us last January or whatever it was, what a major impact he had on us, and he filled in lots of gaps that we had. And you could already tell that he was starting to teach Fornals and Ben Rama to take a shot, and improve our threat going forward. He went back to United and he's done it again. He comes on and he kind of brings that extra little bit that they're missing. And he certainly did it with us, against us, I should say. Okay, so that's the quality of him. We knew he had quality. And that's what we lacked. And we lack it still, I think, without him. And I was gutted that we didn't sign him in the summer. I don't think it was for want of trying. I think this was more that he wanted to go back to United. Now, this leads me on to the next point, which you kind of touched on. Should we have him back, really, based upon that he didn't really want to stay with us? I'm not sure how I feel about that, because if he wanted to come with us, he should have stayed with us. He should have just said to United, "No, I'm going to go to West Ham," and let them pay 20, 30 million pounds or whatever. But he went back there, and it's there's no surprise that he's not going to be playing first team football. Well, he should have known that anyway. He was never going to get there and go into the first team. He was struggled with it, and it doesn't matter what Solskjaer says to him, he's not going to be playing it. So now he wants to go and play first team football, let's say. Well, where is he going to go? Well, yeah, we'd love to have him back, and he'd be a perfect fit to come back in. But I just can't see him coming back. I really can't see him coming back, especially now with other teams, wanting his services. And I've got a strong feeling that he'll be going to somewhere like Roma or somewhere like that.
Now, there is quite a lot of rumours kicking about saying that clubs are preparing offers for Jesse Lingard. Obviously, he's available to talk to clubs in European leagues. So you're talking about the likes of Barcelona, AC Milan. Don't know how true they are. Don't doubt for a second that very big sides would be interested in him. It's whether or not they'd be willing to pay the money Manchester United are looking for, considering they can get him for free in the summer. However, what we do have to take into consideration is that Jesse Lingard, he's a big family man. He's got a World Cup year coming up, and he absolutely talks a lot. He talks a lot, Alf, in this particular interview about how important playing for England was and how devastated, properly like crying, really upset about not being included in that squad, which for me was massively like, I was like, what? I think everyone was like really confused at why he wasn't taken, and he was being involved in the pre-tournament games, even before they announced the squad. So it was really confusing. But he knows the club, he knows the fan base, he knows what it's all about. to be at West Ham. He's familiar with it. And if West Ham really want to progress forward, the likes of Jesse Lingard, where some people say we need to forget him, a bit like what you said there, Alf, a bit like saying, why did he not come in the first place? But is there not something in the fact that he is born and bred in the club that he loves to bits? Not that he doesn't love West Ham.
Oh,
And
I'm not
he want,
knocking him.
but he no,
Yeah.
I know you're not. But do you
Yeah.
believe that he believed so much in his ability that he could have gone back to the club and tried to knock someone off that mantelpiece to get in the starting lineup?
Yeah, no, I'm not knocking him at all, and I think yes, he went back with a sincere belief that he could, get into the United first team and stay there, and maybe some people whispering in his ear as well. I'm just kind of looking at it objectively. I'm not talking about him staying at West Ham or coming back to West Ham. I'm just talking about his decision to go back to United and how realistic it was. And I think, a couple of months down the line, there's already talk of him potentially moving away in January or not playing for United, past next season or past this season, I should say. So, that's what I'm thinking. Well, the decision, how realistic is that you're going to go for United? You haven't really featured in there for a couple of seasons now. Solskjaer doesn't really fancy you. And now all of us, it doesn't matter what you do. And as soon as he came to West Ham, he had that platform to showcase his skills and showcase his quality. By Christ, he did, didn't he? And virtually immediately, he showed everybody, and all the media was saying, "Crikey, we've totally forgotten about Lingard. We've totally forgotten how good he was." Well, I mean, that's fall on them, and that's fall on us as well for not really, remembering that. But praise to Moyes for acknowledging that and saying, we've got a cracking player here. The problem is that we didn't do enough, let's say, to keep him. He didn't want to stay, and he wanted to go back to his boyhood club. Should he come back to us? Yes, from a footballing point of view, yes. Will he come back to us? I don't think he will.
People we'll come on to the chat in a second, but I want to talk about a player that West Ham signed, you could say in replacement for Lingard, and that would be Vlasic, that's been brought in. He's obviously going to be a slow burner. I mean, I think he's got absolutely fantastic ability there. But is West Ham able to cope with bringing in the likes of Lingard and having Vlasic in the wings available and is it really important to have the highest amount of squad competition in there to the highest level?
Well, I think so. I think if we're seriously thinking about being able to challenge, I'm not saying challenge for the title, I'm saying challenge for top 6, top 4. If we're seriously considering, going further in the cups, or both domestic cups, and also going into Europe, we need as much firepower as possible. We need as much quality as possible. And I'm not just talking about what is on the pitch. I'm talking about what is in the squad, what is on the training field. Quality is infectious, isn't it? It's just like in the old days, you heard stories of, great players, how they would stay behind and do extra skills. And that would permeate to other players who would start copying and start doing the similar kind of things. Di Canio used to do it. You can name any team in the land, and there's always one player who seems to do a little bit more, and that encourages other players to do a little bit more. And I think the likes of Lingard, I certainly felt, and I kind of identified that as soon as he came, our quality started to improve, and he had that kind of infectious ability about him, and he was showcasing how much quality, how much of a step above he was, and I think that's what he brings. So if he brings that, then it's going to help the likes of Vlasic, and we need a bigger squad to be able to fight on all different stages, not only for this season, but for next season and the next 2 or 3 seasons as well.
You know, I talk a lot. I spoke there about, Jesse Lingard being back at Manchester United. He's not featured to the level that he wanted to feature. However, I do go back to the Manchester United game in the Premier League, and when he came on as a sub, I'm talking even without the goal to contend with the
Yeah,
fantastic goal that he did score, he did make an immediate difference and had immediate impact in Manchester United. Like I said, he brought them forward as a team. In the first half in particular, I remember Ronaldo getting the ball. He was targeting down Vladimir Sufal's side, and he was
yeah,
trying to run ragged, and they were running ragged around Sufal. But the difference was that even Ronaldo wasn't making a massive impact. Yes, okay,
yeah,
he got a goal, I get that,
yeah, yeah,
but he
yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
having the impact that I expected him to have. But the minute Jesse Lingard come on, people could say it was, it's to do with the fact that he came up against West Ham and he was rising to the occasion. The stadium was full, all that sort of stuff. But he
Yeah.
did make a massive difference. And then you see Lingard come on, albeit not for long, against Villarreal in the Champions League, and again he makes a big impact by assisting the
Yeah.
winning goal. So he is an impactful player, in my opinion. And we're talking about a player here, Alf, that has had, what could you say, 2 or 3 below standard, below average seasons due
Yeah.
to what he has said and what we clearly know is mental health issues
Yeah.
that he's resolved and is working on all the time and has found his form again, and he's thanking our club for it. So
Yeah.
for me, when it comes to paying £15 million
No brainer.
for a player of his quality, it's a no-brainer. It's
Yeah.
just now what I would love to know is, does he want to come back to the club? And we will come into the comments, but people are saying things like, I can see him going abroad, and some of them in the comments are saying, I can't see him going abroad. I don't think,
Yes.
if I'm being honest, Alf, he will want to go abroad because he doesn't, he talks a lot about his family, talks a lot about his
Yeah.
daughter, and his daughter wouldn't go with him, and I don't think that's a good mental health move for him. I mean, who am
No,
I to say
sure.
that? But
Look, I mean, I don't think he needs to go abroad. I'm just saying, that there might be a bigger pull out there as well. Look, or let's just think about Lingard. Let's just think about Lingard, right? Let's say if he'd stayed with us. Let's just take that United game when they were warming up. They're right in the touchline, right where me and my lads sit. Okay, and we were all giving him a good round of applause, and you could tell that it was touching. He was touched by it, right? And it was a really good thing, he came on, and obviously he had the impact he did. But let me ask you this: we weren't far away from getting a result out of there, and some might argue that we could have won that game if we had Lingard on our side instead of on Man United side. I think we would have stuffed them that day. I think we would have quite convincingly beaten them. You think of the 2 or 3 games this season that we've lost and that we've performed not great. Let's say the Southampton game as well, right? If we had Lingard in the side, I think that we could have turned those draws or losses into draws or definitely into wins as well. So I think for us, he would have a big impact. And I think where we're suffering right now is the likes of Ben Rama, still great, coming on great, but hot and cold in terms of performances. Vlasic, still not up to speed, let's say, and we've got to be patient with that. We can't still start condemning him straight away. So Lanzini, yeah, bit part player. Fornals, again, he's had a couple of great performances and a couple of, I would say, mediocre performances. Bowen, the last couple of 2 or 3 games, has really shone as that workhorse. Yarmolenko, bit part player, hasn't really shown, but he does it on the international stage, but he doesn't really do it for us. Antonio's had a couple of great games and a couple of non-productive games in terms of goals. So we are desperate for Lingard to fill in those holes and to elevate us or to keep us at a consistent level where we're getting points. And I'm talking about draws or wins. And I think he would be a great converter for us.
yeah, I do. I really do. I think, and I mean, a lot of people will go in and I'll see people saying it. We're going to go through the comments, like I said, in a minute, but people will be thinking we need to move on from the Lingard scenario. But the thing is, I don't think there is going to be a chance to move on because until I think West Ham's chance of getting Lingard, I thought it would be in the summer there, but it seems to be that we might be, Moyes will be looking at this Alf, he'll absolutely be looking at this as a priority signing for West Ham. And check the polls out. We've put polls in. We're saying, should he be West Ham's #1 target? So click that. What do you think? Should he be West Ham's #1 target in January? And I'll put that question to you, Alf. Should Lingard be West Ham's #1 target in January?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, because it's a steal. If we can get him for 15 million, even if it's 20 million, okay, if we can get him because of the relationship that he's already had, he knows the players, they know him. It will be basically he'll walk into the side, he'll walk into the training pitch, they know him, he'll start producing straight away. Yeah, no, okay. Do I expect him to start producing every match? No, because there are a couple of duff matches that he had when he played for us as well. There's no doubt. But at the same time, he's still that quality that we need. If you're looking for that same quality from the Premier League or elsewhere, you're going to pay double, triple.
Yeah.
For what that. So I think he's, for where he's at, his age and his quality, that's exactly what West Ham need.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to jump into the chat, Alf, and see what everyone's saying. Kaiser Machine is saying this is it. The last chance we'll have to sign him. I'm sure other clubs will be interested and offer more. I think we should pay between 10 to 15 million pounds. He's worth that to us for league and cup games, and possibly more. If I'm being honest with you, Kaiser, I think he'd be more than that. There are. Listen, you've got the Newcastle takeover. There's no doubt about it. They're going to be strengthening themselves in January. Do you think that they're only a hop, skip, and a jump away from Manchester in comparison to the distance that London is from Manchester? I mean, they'll probably be sniffing around a player like Lingard. Do you think Lingard would look at Newcastle as a project, a better project than what West Ham would be?
That's a good point, really. I mean, because I heard reports that Newcastle wanted to raid half of United's team. They're kind of the likes of Lingard and other players as well. So, would he go there? Well, United players have gone there in the past. Quite a few of them, in fact, have gone over to Newcastle, and some have done okay and some haven't. So I think there's always been a bit of a relationship between Newcastle and Man United in terms of transfers. I'm not so sure that it would be the best move for him. Let's put this into perspective. Newcastle, whilst they got the massive backing now, that still needs 2 or 3, 4 years or seasons to make them, mold them into a team that can start winning things consistently. And we're not talking about throwing 100 million here. We're talking about a billion pounds total in terms of the acquisition of the club, training facilities, staff, and then paying for players, and then building up a reputation that will want to make other top quality players, the best players in the world, want to go to Newcastle. That's going to take 3 or 4 seasons at least. I don't think Lingard would want to wait that long.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Why would you want to go to Newcastle right now that are not doing very well at all, and then there might be a progression over the next 2 or 3 seasons, or you go to a club like West Ham, who are right there. We're right at it right now.
We're in the transition period, really, aren't we? We really are in this transition period.
And we're in Europe right now.
Yeah.
For me,
Clive
it's a no-brainer.
Yep. Good afternoon, Clive. Thank you for joining us. Cyber Leader, Dalek's in. You're saying let's go and get him. Happy Hammers in the chat. We're all good. Thank you very much, Gaza, for joining us. Apparently, Barcelona are looking at Lingard. I mean, we're hearing a lot of rumours, and I don't doubt for a second a lot of European clubs will be sniffing around the quality that Jesse Lingard can offer and make a difference. But the thing is, it's down to the question, do you see him moving abroad? And if you were to ask me that question outright, I don't. I'm going to say no.
I can't see Barcelona because they're
to be honest,
screwed with their.
Yeah, well, they are. That's the problem. But I wonder if that's why they maybe be looking at that level, that amount of money to bring in players, because they're going to have to shift some players out. But we'll see. Tim Love is saying it's evening here. Where is that, Tim? Again, let us know where you are. Oz is saying it's 15 not too much when we can wait until July and get him for free. But then, Oz, the question I'll ask to you is, do you run the risk of losing the player? And I think on this occasion, you do. I really do. Alf, do you agree?
Yeah, I think we would as well. I think it's one of these golden opportunities. You can't wait. You just grab him. That's it. Pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Hammer 82. Lingard would rather warm the bench with his hero Ronaldo instead of kicking on with West Ham this season. It's a shame, but we should move on from him, in my opinion. But listen, Happy Hammer, I think there's an element of truth in what you're saying to a certain extent. I think that when your hero comes back to your club, but you also have just come off a fantastic half a season, and everyone is let's not forget Jesse Lingard on form prior to when he had problems at Manchester United was one of the best players in the country. Jesse Lingard came to West Ham and was one of the best players in the country. And then add to that, his hero comes to the boyhood clubs that he supports, that he still holds a contract with. And I think that all adds up to the equation. I think Ronaldo coming back to the club may have just cemented his decision to stay at Manchester United and thought, I'm going to get an opportunity to play with my hero. He stayed. It's not working out yet. Things could change over the next 6 weeks. We never know. But if it doesn't, he's going to be wanting first team football because England is a priority. He's already stated that.
Look, I mean, let's just say something about England, right? Okay, I mean, it's my understanding. I can't really remember, but he wasn't in the England setup at all. He comes to West Ham, then all of a sudden, everybody remembers him again, and guess what? He gets straight back into the England squad. And it was a travesty, you could argue, that he didn't feature in there. And yeah, you could argue that they would have beaten Italy in the final quite convincingly if he was there as well. So there's lots of ammunition there for Lingard to say West Ham saved not only my career but also saved my international career. And there's lots of strong bonds there. I think that hopefully he'll realise.
Well, is this enough of an incentive though? Hopefully Newcastle don't pour 200k per week on him. Okay, what happens if they do come in and pour a lot of money at him? Do you think that's going to be a decision in his, a decision-making factor? We know if Lingard comes to West Ham, apparently according to negotiations, we're looking at maybe just over 100k, 115k a week that he'd be getting. But Newcastle, if they come with a newfound money, they can be in there offering him pretty much within reason, financial fair play and all that, to make him one of the highest, if not the highest earner at Newcastle.
Well, I think it would be very hard to turn down. That would be very hard. That kind of money, you can't begrudge somebody is saying, right, you're going to be paid 100 grand here, or somebody's going to pay you 200 grand a week. I think
absolutely.
It's one of those. Right.
Clive is saying signing Jesse Lingard is a must in my opinion. He could be cover for Antonio, but can also provide us with an extra goal scorer with Antonio on the pitch too.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. I don't agree with this though. Lingard is a poor man's Ian Dowie. Come on, David.
There's nothing wrong with Ian Dowie. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, into your own net. Feels Andy, man. I could see him going to Barcelona, to be honest. I couldn't. I want him back, but he did annoy me when he scored against us. But then he was doing his job. I mean, it annoyed me. He massively annoyed me. It was a pain, but any player annoys me that scores against West Ham. But what I saw from him was, if anything, I was just more disappointed because I was like, why did you not just come to the club in the summer? Because I think it would have made a massive difference already.
It's funny, not funny, but it was in... When he scored against us, before that, I was having a conversation with my lad and kind of being overheard, I'm sure, by everybody who stood around us, saying, "Oh, are we still supposed to like him now he's gone back to Man United?" And I think we still love him for what he did for us. So that's basically what I was saying. How we played.
But there's a big saying though, like you should never fall in love with a lone player.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I get all that.
It's tough though. It's tough not to. It's tough not to if they make such an impact like what Jesse Lingard did. That's tough.
Well, as I said, when he came to us, he's the best signing, certainly the best loan player that we ever had. The best signing, arguably.
In many years.
Well, not the signing, but you know what I mean. But I was saying, look, we should still learn, and that's why he's getting a great ovation and great. Welcome from the West Ham fans. But as soon as he scored, I turned around to my son. I said, now we start hating him.
Absolutely.
Now we hate him.
John, expat Thailand. I understand on principle we wouldn't pay over the top for Lingard in the summer, but then why did we pay £30 million plus for Vlasic. Well, the situation is, from my understanding, we did make an offer. It was just Ole Gunnar Solskjaer declined it and refused to let him move and leave the club, and Lingard would have been happy with that. So West Ham had to go out and find another option in the market. And I think, I think we've got to give Vlasic time, as Alf has said. We've got to give him time. David is saying we are so much better with him around. We probably would have beat Brentford, and possibly you could look at games like Brentford. You could look at games like Manchester United and think, would he have made a big difference? And I think he would have made a big difference for the games that we've got coming up. Everton away, they've got a massive amount of pace up top. And we've got creativity up top. You can't remotely deny that Lingard wouldn't offer something, a bit of a va-va-voom up there as well, Vlasic hasn't been that incredible as well, but I think we've got to give him time. Clive is saying Lingard would have a positive impact on our squad. Benrahma really done when he played with J-Lings, and I think that would be a positive impact for players like Benrahma. Would that affect Benrahma for the bad reasons? I think we've got also to consider, Alf, that we've got the African Cup of Nations coming up in January, so we're looking likely we're probably going to lose Benrahma for a certain amount of time in January as well.
Again, I still think having Lingard alongside Benrahma in the squad will be a positive thing as well. So, any player, they've got to fight for their place. And yes, no doubt, Benrahma has started very well this season in certain games. Other games he's still been wanting. But, maybe you can raise him even more to be more consistent,
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, WHU Bell, personally I would sign him, but whose place would he take in a starting 11? But this is what I go back to, Steve, at West Ham. I genuinely believe David Moyes is happy with the 21-2 players that he's got in and around the squad. I think he wants to add, and I think if there's an opportunity to bring a player in who would be able to start in any of those games, i.e. Jesse Lingard, then each of these players will get enough game time throughout the season. Now, people aren't happy so far because they aren't seeing a little bit more of Alex Kroll. We're seeing a little bit here, there, and everywhere of Vlasic, but we're still only 7 games into the Premier League, 2 games into the Europa League, 1 game into the Carabao Cup. So we've only played 10 games in a competitive season that's probably going to end up with West Ham playing 55 games, if not a little bit more. So there's going to be plenty more game time that these players are going to get featured in. And so someone like Lingard coming in just offers West Ham a whole new dynamic again. And you know what, could free up some other players to play in other competitions that can progress West Ham. What we do need, Alf, is a all singing and all dancing, firing on all cylinders squad that can compete in all competitions. Because the further you get into the Europa League, the further you keep moving up there. If you even remotely get a sniff of like the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, you've got a real chance at that point. And at that point, Alf, if you win that competition, you go straight into the Champions League knockout stages the next season. So no matter what happens in the league position, if you finish below 4th, you're going into the Champions League. This is why Moyes is probably going to want to take that competition as serious as he possibly can.
When a couple of seasons ago, when the season restarted, all of a sudden it was like a switch that happened at West Ham. Antonio started playing well, scoring goals, and Moyes sort of turned it around a little bit. Last season, we came in, we were doing all right, we were getting there. Then Lingard came in, and we kicked on, and we had a great season. At the end of it, without that, all our players have stepped up their game, their level of performance, and you've got to put that down to Moyes. Moyes has come in, identified lots of key areas where we were lacking, substandard, and he's brought it all up. And he's brought in players and got rid of players that weren't really fitting the mold, right? Or doing it for us. Brings in Lingard, and he just elevates us that a little bit more. With Lingard, he fills in all the gaps that we currently have. And let's just be absolutely straight about this. If we went out into the marketplace right now, or not now, in January or next summer, and tried to buy a player for 30-40 million pounds, okay, it would have questionable quality, but also it would go against what Moyes is also trying to do, is that to promote from within and get those players from the under-23s into the squad. If you bring in Moyes for that kind of fee, it doesn't interfere with that. However, if you bring in a big time 40-50 million pound player from abroad, let's say, into the mix, it does interfere with that. it does interfere with that progression. And
Yep.
that's because, he's coming in new, and it kind of upsets the apple cart a little bit. Lingard is the perfect fit for West Ham. Whether he'll come to us, whether he's actually watching this right now, Jesse, come back to West Ham. We need you. David Moyes, I know. David M, I can see you in the comments. David Moyes, there. Yeah, you're listening. Go out and get him. And well done for a great job so far, by the way.
James Farmer saying £15 million is a bit much for someone who can go overseas for free, and £15 million is what we valued him at the last window. £10 million tops. This is a monkey exercise by Man United and nothing else. But then, yeah, you kind of are right there, James, to a certain extent. But do you know what? The question I'll ask to you is, for the difference of £5 million, if it was literally the difference of bringing him in or not, would you pay that extra £5 million? Melvin is saying, I think he would come back to West Ham. He seemed to have enjoyed his stay here, so why not? If you're not appreciate at home, well, you need to go where you are. He had to find that out for himself. Kaiser saying Lingard will surely have a positive impact on our league position. Get Belotti as well. We'll talk about him in the future. Don't worry, we'll cover him in the near future. James Farmer, Lingard should be a priority target as he can play instead of Antonio and already has the trust of Moyes and won't be held back for 6 months like whoever he signs. We'd rather get a striker though. I mean, there's another question. Would you, if it came down to the difference of signing a Lingard and a striker, Alf, what would you do?
Lingard.
I think I would as well.
I've always said we need another striker. I've been saying it. But if it's a case of having Lingard who knows the club, who produces and who does score, over somebody who doesn't, who's going to need time to settle in, Lingard all day long. Belotti, that was just mentioned there, great player in Italy, plays really well. He's got a bit of venom about him, certainly the way he looks and the way he plays, I think. But I there's no way I'd put him above Lingard. No way. Look, this is exactly the same. If I'm going to go and buy a bike or a car or something like that, right? What am I looking for? I'm looking for something. Oh, that's another story. I'm looking for something that does the job, right? I want something that ticks all my boxes. What I want. Do I like it? Whatever. All the things that you buy, all the things you look for when you buy, and you think, right, then you see what's available, right? And you see what's available, and you think, do you know what? There's one there, or there's one there, or there's one there. Do you know what? There's a car, there's a bike that ticks all my boxes, but it's a little bit more than I wanted to pay for. Do you know what? I'm going to buy it. I'm buying it. That's it. And to hell with if I've overpaid for it. Because it's not grossly overpriced. It's just a little bit more than I wanted to pay for. Go and get it done. That's it.
Yep. Absolutely. Let Yarmolenko go for Belotti. Father Snowman saying Belotti should be number one signing. He wants to come. NWO saying 50 million.
Who says he wants to come?
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to...
Sorry, I don't want to be argumentative here.
Still, Alf. Still.
Well, still.
15 million is a bargain.
Somebody wants to come to the Premier League. Somebody wants to come to the Premier League. Does he want to come to West Ham? Who knows?
Yeah. Happy Hammer striker has to be number one target. As we all know, Antonio's hamstrings will ping like a guitar string, and Lingard or Bowen can't hold the ball up like Antonio does. DA Crossman is saying, Jesse, yes, please, no substitute for class. Crazy Call is saying Lingard would be the best deal since Payet. Love him, hate him. He was class for us. Step in, Jesse. Feels Andyman, yeah, definitely. They have a much bigger, ambitious new owners rather than West Ham's owners. Melvin is saying Newcastle could go down. Then he says get Payet in. David M, totally agree with you guys, especially Lingard. Want to be up and running straight away with West Ham in a World Cup year. A year. Yep. Newcastle won't settle down for at least 5 years. Limit budgets on players from Crazy Call. Agreeing with you there, Alf. Keith is saying, I'm not sure we'll get Lingard. We signed Vlasic, we signed as a replacement. So what happens to Vlasic? We've discussed that. We think there's room for the two of them in the squad. David M, why would Lingard want to go to Barcelona a year away from the World Cup? He needs stability. Absolutely. Good point. Very good point. Simon as well. Will we have 50 million to spend in January? We will. I mean, listen, this is the whole thing about the new recruitment guy we've got in, Rob Newman. He's coming in. There's a reason he's coming in, to go and identify the players that Moyes is looking for. And if that means that we still bring in Lingard and it's not a player that he looks at, and maybe Lingard and someone else, then I'm going to sneeze. Oh, sneeze. No, I'm not.
There's you. There's that.
Oh, bless you.
Oh,
Sorry. Apologies
yeah.
for that. That just came at the last second there.
That went over the internet, mate.
That's what
Everybody's
happens.
doing this right now.
That's what happens in live TV. I don't know how you can control that. Clive is saying Lingard is a striker anyway, maybe not a traditional striker, but there's one inside him.
Yeah.
Andy Man is saying, honestly, I would take Lacazette if he's available in January for Antonio cover. Do you know what? If you'd have said to me 4 years ago, Lacazette, I'd have said yes, not right now, to be honest, because Moyes has changed my mindset in terms of the age. I don't know what Lacazette's at, early 30s, is he?
Yeah, I don't know.
No. Lingard could have made a difference in the England games last night. Absolutely. John Expat is saying Lingard on a free in the summer isn't free. You still have to pay him a signing on fee, so you may as well pay 15 million in January. Jesse, whatever your gut feeling is, I'm 100% behind you, my friend. And you're saying, bless you. Yep, absolutely. So I have got polls running live on the YouTube channel. So we're going to go and see what all the results are before we do leave the stream, because I am working, Alf. So I do need to get back to work as well.
Do I. I've got stuff to do as well.
So I have asked everyone in the chat.
I am busy, you know. I am doing other stuff.
Yeah. Right, let me see what polls I asked everyone in the chat. I said, would you sign Jesse Lingard in January? 80% of people said yes to 20% that said no. The next question...
it's not a surprise, really, I suppose.
The next question that I asked, would Lingard coming in affect Vlasic's chances at the club? 76% of people said yes, and 29% of people said no. So I don't know where the 1% that didn't vote went, but there you go. The next question I did ask was, did that just jump? There we go. It's there. Should Lingard be our number one target? And 70% of people have said yes, and 30% of people have said no. And I asked another question, which was, who would Lingard choose over West Ham or Newcastle? 90% of people have said West Ham to 10% of Newcastle. And the last question is, Lingard or a striker? 58% of people said Lingard, and 42% of people said a striker.
Yeah. The thing is, if you take, let's get into Moyes' mind for a second. What kind of player are you looking for? You're looking for quality, obviously, but you're looking for really hard-working, dynamic player, aren't you? That's what you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who's not going to be a Haller, who's not going to be, Hernandez, who's not going to be Anderson, let's say, who promises so much but doesn't deliver. You want somebody who delivers. You want somebody who's energetic and full of running, full of enthusiasm, full of quality, as I say. And there are very few players out there that are like that. There are very few players. So when you identify a player that really wants to come into a unit, a mentality that's now around West Ham, you've got to grab onto them with both hands. So going abroad, let's say, let's forget about Lingard. Let's just talk about a couple of strikers from, Europe. There was links, not with West Ham, but links with Chiesa from Italy coming to the UK, coming to England, the Premier League. Belotti, Insigne, places like that, Italy, because guess what? They won the Euros, right? So, look at those players. They must be brilliant. Not what I said at the time. I'm Italian, right? I support Italy. That's my nation. Okay. Not one of those players I would have in the Premier League. Not one, and certainly not one at West Ham. Do I think they'd be better than any player that we've got or we could get from the Britain? Because I know the league and I know the way they play. There's very few players that have come over from Italy that have done really, really well. You can count them on the back of your hand. You count them on one hand, basically.
Yeah.
So, if we're going to go for players like that, but it's got to fit the mold. It's got to fit what Moyes wants us to be. And I completely get it with Moyes. I completely get the way we play or how we try to play. And if we could get Lingard in, that would be the cherry on the cake, and that will fill in so many gaps for us.
I like that. The cherry on the cake.
Yeah.
Listen, if you are new around here, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. The link is in the description. All you need to do if you are watching right now, I think there's an option where just below Alf, hit the subscribe button. Also, there's over 100 people watching live. Go and hit the thumbs up. It really does help our channel out. So please hit the thumbs up. It pushes us into the algorithm. It really does help our channel out as well. We've put a link in the description, in the chat, if you're interested in becoming a channel member. Alf, pleasure speaking to you again.
Always a pleasure to speak to you, my son.
Absolutely. Tonight we have a mass debate show where we're going to give anyone who's watching the chance to come on and have a chat with us. There's going to be a time limit as well, so you're going to have a couple of minutes to be able to come on and click the link. Make sure you do have a good reception. Make sure you do have a good microphone if you are going to be doing that as well. So come and check us out about 9 o'clock, 9:30, and we'll see you then. Anyway, from myself and Alf, this is the West Ham Network. Take it easy, stay safe, and come on, you Irons.
Up the Amish.